Everett, the Marvel Comics Group presents the extra special 50th issue of Seaman, fighting for his life. Mystery, danger, suspense, as Seaman asks, "Who am I?" This is by Billy Everett, the Goldie Age giant who created, or at least claims to have created, this character in the 40s. Billy Everett came back to Seaman in 1972, and it would be his final work, with him dying within a year. A lifetime of alcohol. Don't do it. It'll kill you. His work on Seaman series in the 70s, it doesn't go off without a hitch. These first two issues could fool you. He is writing, he is doing full art, pencils and inks, and colours even. There's no credit for colours. I guess he did the colours as well. These two issues, if he could have kept this up, this is fire. This is artistically great. Billy Everett, as an artist, was by my reckoning the most detailed of all the Goldie Age artists, even all the Silver Age artists. Nothing shows this more than Seagull's hair on this page. Look at it. The camera probably doesn't do it justice, but the amount of detail he pencils into Seagull's hair is without compare in this era. This is the first appearance of Seagull, by the way. Seaman, the title character and hero, he finds an unconscious underage girl, and his instinct is to kiss and molest her underage unconscious body. It gets worse, it turns out she's his cousin. Seagull goes on to be a notable character. It takes a while for it to happen though. She co-stars in Seaman stories after this. She disappears for most the 80s, before she again co-stars in Seaman's 90 series, and at the same time, and more importantly, she stars as one of the main characters in New Warriors. She starts dating Black Star. She goes blue, dabba dee dabba die. Then she goes blue up. Sorry, too soon? It's been 20 years. She comes back anyway. On the art alone, I recommend this. Billy Everett is a treat to behold. No one else was doing this level of complexity to their art in the 70s. Yeah, he's not really drawing backgrounds. He's fooling you into thinking there are backgrounds through the use of colour. But when he is rendering everything else so heavily, it doesn't matter. The art is great. But the thing that everyone else says holds it back is the writing and the bizarre crab men. I am fine with these ridiculous talking crabs, but the writing is very Goldie Age. It's plain to see that in 1972 this wasn't this didn't work with a lot of readers. The crabs are too random, they're too goofy, and they are tossed into this issue and this story without that much need. They simply serve as exposition. They explain a plot to Seaman, and it involves his former lover and another relative, Sea Woman. She has been captured, and you see, well, she's dead. She died off panel. The co-star of many of Seaman's Goldie Age adventures died off panel. She, much like Seagirl, comes back anyway. I think one of the problems with the writing and plotting is evident right here. We have something that should be emotional, something that should be serious. Seaman has discovered, he has just learnt, someone he loved and someone he is related to has died. But at the same time, we have these cartoon crab people telling him about it. The Goldie Age writing sensibility didn't allow for the same level of emotional range that characters could now have in the 70s. Comics were less resistant to the unspectacular. They could show Peter Parker being downbeat and thinking that he's a fuck-up for an entire page. What we need here is a few solemn panels of Seaman and his misery. We don't need crab people talking throughout and telling us how it was part of a master plot to ensnare Seaman in a trap. If you are a big fan of these crazy crabs, I have said before, but they return in Angels of Aslan. They look less silly in that though. I really don't mind the crabs. I don't mind the crabs in concept. I like outlandish, silly things in comics. I don't think they are used that well, and they stick out like a sore thumb in a story which otherwise has some actual stakes, a semi-important death, and by the end of this issue, major bad guys. Seaman fights the crabs. I think I sound like I am coming down a bit too hard on this. I appreciate it. I like Billy Everett's approach of doing whatever the fuck he wanted. It doesn't always work and it ends up not a long-term possibility almost immediately after these first two issues. He cannot meet the deadlines. His health is declining, and he will pass away before getting to offer anything else at the same level as issues 50 and 51. Issue 52, I think they start having to run backup stories by other people. Eventually, full fill-in issues. It's a shame because there is a lot of charm to what we have here. I love the art, and I half love how batshit crazy the writing and the ideas can get. But I understand that it isn't to everyone's tastes. And tonally, the Crabmen don't really work in this story at all. But I would have loved if Billy Everett could have put out more and more issues to the standard of these first two. It turns out this is all the scheme of the evil Lord Byron, one of Seaman's big rivals, and also his cousin. Everyone is his cousin. And the crabmen are following his orders. I'm not entirely sure when Lord Byron first appeared. He possibly dates back to the Goldie Age, the Seaman comics from the 40s. I never researched these, by the way. All of it is from memory. The cutaways I get later, and in this case I will have found out if he was in the Goldie Age or not. If there's a cutaway, that was him in the Goldie Age. If there's not, then he wasn't. I know he was in Tales of Astonish. I remember the cover with Seaman on the floor and him standing over him. There's another one actually, around about the time Seaman teamed up with Hulk and Silver Surfman. There's a cover, and I think it's Lord Byron casting Seaman out of SeaWorld. Main thing I know Lord Byron from is Saga of the Seaman, the 1989 miniseries covering Seaman's origin and backstory. In this, Lord Byron also has Seagirl as an hostage. It is here where we find out that her and Seaman are cousins, and she is Sea Woman's daughter. Funny tragedy with this character. Seagirl is introduced in the issue where Sea Woman is killed off. By the time they bring Sea Woman back to life, Seagirl has been killed off. Still, to this day, I don't think we have ever seen Seagirl interact with Sea Woman outside of flashbacks. I don't mind this. Now that we have gotten a proper plot going, we have a bad guy. The crabmen are mostly done with even. And best of all, we find out it is really the schemes of Ursula, the sexy sea woman who often moondragons people, including Spider-Man. Her name is misspelt on this page. The thing is, this story has weight. It has emotional impact. And I don't think the Goldie Age writing style really manages that part of the story. When facing Ursula, Ursula falls into an oil spring and is seemingly killed. She too comes back anyway. But that is it for her involvement in this. She shows up for 3 pages, is revealed to have murdered another of Seaman's lovers, and then falls over and perishes. Seagirl's reaction to Ursula's apparent death is the closest we get to some emotion in this. I like Seagirl and how she is introduced and some things done with her. I'll talk a bit more about her in part 2. But we end this. Everyone has forgotten about Lord Byron, who is poised, ready to shoot Seaman. I cautiously recommend this. Fantastic artwork throughout. It's worth looking at. I would have loved more of this. I'd have loved if Billy Everett could just go mental on Seaman until the book is cancelled because he's made a flying buffalo the new love interest. Check this out, if just for the art. But the writing and plot aren't completely shit either. 7 thumbs up.